Hey, what's up, Morgan?
Hey,
Hello.
Hey, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel. She can't hear us yet. Hi, Rachel.
Happy Friday, y'all.
Oh, I'm so anxious to see who else is going to come. It's always
It's a mystery game.
yeah. It's like popcorn popping when people are filtering in. So
Yeah, right.
I love watching popcorn pop. It's great.
Free entertainment. How's your week, Morgan?
pretty good. I had a couple job interviews this week,
nice.
and yeah, and I started volunteering like UX UI stuff for Earth Hero, the
awesome.
Earth Hero app. Yeah,
I know them. Peter Kalmus is one of the founders, right?
I've been in touch with Ben and Tom, Tom Feltham and Ben. What's Ben's last name?
I think I met them briefly, but yeah, I'm working with Peter Kalmus, who's a climate scientist, and I think that's one of the organizations that he helped found. I don't think he's like super involved with it, but
Okay.
he mentions them every once in a while. And early on, we had a meeting with their team to discuss how we might work together. So we had a quick meet and greet. But I'm so bad with names, I'm definitely not going to remember who all was there. But yeah, I totally know them.
That's awesome.
No,
what was
real
the
cool.
What was the organization again?
Earth Hero.
Earth Hero. Okay.
It's I don't know, Morgan, if you want to describe it. It's a mobile app that
Yeah, it's like a mobile app. It's out now on like the app stores and whatever, and it just kind of helps people to gauge what their carbon footprint is and provides like opportunities, different like small steps, actions to take. And I think they want to kind of expand it to make it so that you can kind of find more opportunities locally to connect with people to do stuff.
yeah.
So yeah, it's all volunteer based right now.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get connected with them to volunteer?
I think I found it through a climate based listing of like a month ago or something. Yeah, and I thought, oh, this looks like right up my alley, like something I can help out with. So I think I signed up through that. Yeah.
Perfect. It's really cool.
What's up, Lindsay?
Hey, Mark. Hey, Sarah. Nice to see you all again. Hi, Sasha. Nice to meet you, Morgan. Hi, Lindsay. Hey.
How's your week been?
Hi.
Hey, Morgan. It's been good. I feel like I've just become like 100% immersed in like my work stuff. And so like climate designers is back burner right now. So I'm like kind of hoping that like things will settle down and then I can do a phase of like, I'm going to do a lot more like climate designers engagement. Which reminds me, Mark, I've been meaning to email you to set up a next Eventbrite thing. We're going to do a climate happy hour this month where I just share like, here's some cool, like good climate news stuff. And then we have a little like Q&A and then a little like social small group talk time. So
Very
it's going to
cool.
be a really easy event is our goal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, these events can be super easy or pretty involved. So
yeah.
It's good to have a mix for both the chapter leaders as well as the attendees.
Yeah, we've got a volunteer for our chapter who wants to like plan a whole weekend design jam thing. So, like, go to town, man.
Nice. I just got a note from Johnny Black. He went to the Bay Area meetup, and it was the first meetup I think of all the chapters that was in person. It was at a park in San Francisco, and I need to touch base with the chapter leaders and see how it went. But yeah, he said he had a good time.
Nice.
So exciting. San Francisco's opening back up.
Mm-hmm.
Boy.
So I would love to, I'm going to put Sasha on the spot. And Sasha, it's been great to see people's responses from the survey that you put out.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I like the different ways that people are answering it too. Like, I think, I posted it with the idea in mind that people would kind of talk about like what they were focused on in their work. But I think there's a lot of answers focused, like people, what they're focused on in their life too, and what they're most interested in, and a lot of different lenses of what area. And I really wish that the Mighty Networks polls, they'll only let you put 5 options, which is like, there's so many areas of where people can be.
So Sasha asked, which area within environmental issues do you focus on the most? And how do you see your work relating to these areas? And then, there was 5. I thought you did a really good job of narrowing it down to 5 kind of main topics, but obviously there's a lot.
Yeah, and definitely some overlap. Did everybody here answer it? What did you guys all say? Do you want me to read the options? Okay.
Yes,
the
please.
Options. All right. So what areas within environmental issues do you focus on the most? How do you see your work relating to these areas? So the main answers were climate change involving emissions, energy, global warming, for example, waste, food waste, trash, ocean pollution, biodiversity, which involves species loss or deforestation, people, if you're involved in climate justice or community resilience, and then government action around policies or system changes.
I said people because obviously climate designers and community management is my main focus right now, and educating designers.
Yeah, for me, it was a combination. So I would answer mostly climate change because I feel like in my work, pretty much what I do now is just kind of focusing on energy, like the energy that I'm using and things like that. So that's where it relates the most, but definitely leaning more towards people and community, because I think that's the way to spread change the most, is like just by connecting with people and getting other people involved.
I just filled it out finally. I put in biodiversity, and in fact, there was an article that just came out this week that puts a greater link between biodiversity loss and climate change than had previously been acknowledged. I don't know why it took so long for them to figure out. Biodiversity is a key component of life on Earth, and climate change is impacting all of that as well.
Yeah, I'm reading some of the comments from folks who answered, and Pia, I don't know where she's from. Pia Bakir, I don't know. She said something along those lines, Kat. She said, people can be both a means and, of course, a sustainability goal. Also, however, while climate and biodiversity are a prerequisite to people to thrive, the reverse isn't the case. That's why I always put ecological sustainability first. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, this is great.
I think I put waste just because I think personally, like that it's something I can just do every day, that I've done that's been important to me for like a really long time. It's hard to decide.
Yeah, they're all intertwined, really.
Yeah.
Definitely. Waste is like if you're thinking about personal impact, I feel like that's where a lot of people get started, is in the zero waste area. So it's definitely a good area.
Food production and food waste was sort of one of my introductory like areas to understanding climate, and it's still probably my biggest thing. Like ultimately, if temperatures warm to too much, we can't grow certain foods, and I like to eat.
You might have that in common with a lot of people,
right?
Oh, I like eating too.
I know a guy who doesn't use the phrase climate change. He uses the phrase the great pollution. And I really appreciate that because it's not as divisive as climate change, but it speaks to both when I'm hearing about waste, I talk about it as not just food waste or just trash, but also, too much carbon in the air, because that's waste. Carbon isn't bad. We need carbon in the atmosphere. We just have too much of it. So you can consider that as waste. But it's also waste that we can't see. So there's visible waste. We can see the trash, we can see e-waste, we can see all the stuff that we've caused. But we also have invisible waste as well. So just, I don't know, something to think about.
We can't see microplastics.
Sure, yeah.
And they're actually in the air.
Or the waste that we find in our water systems and things like that. Like we can't really see a lot of this stuff, but it is in fact waste. And so as humans, we've caused this great pollution. We've polluted our home and we need to clean it up.
I have two pieces of good news for the week. I don't know if you guys have seen these. The one is that the Keystone Pipeline project was halted. And the other one is that Panama has actually set aside 30% of their marine waters as preserve. So they did that 9 years ahead of schedule.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
I love hearing good news.
The time.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my ideas for our climate designers Instagram was for us to like every Monday kind of post like good climate news. And I thought we could even like in these coffee breaks, we could ask people like, hey, any good news that caught your attention this week? And we could then put that in our Monday post. Once I have more time, that's one of the things I was going to start working on again.
Yeah, actually, Kat, I've been meaning to write to you because we definitely do need help. And yeah, I just haven't even had the chance to write back to you yet.
Okay.
So sorry.
Our first week of class started on Monday, so Sarah and I have been little heads down with school stuff. So we hope that will kind of smooth out in the next week or so.
Awesome. How's it going? Do you have a very enthusiastic students? No.
They kind of just
tell us what they are like.
They just
No.
No, it's fun. I think it's just this is a cohort that's always been online because of the pandemic. Last year's cohort, they at least had a semester and a half in person, so there was a lot more team dynamics pre-COVID.
Right.
Now it's I don't know. I think they just met in person for the first time like a month ago at the back of school at like a social distance workshop. So maybe that has something to do with it. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also the first week. They don't know us, and Sarah and I are not your normal instructors, so they're probably weirded out by all of our dumb sense of humor and stupid jokes and things. But it's also, we're doing a new thing, and not to diverge from this topic, but we're doing a new thing. So it's a bit more involved for the first 2 weeks of class. So it's a lot that we're covering. Is a boot camp. So
they have been asking good questions. So I don't mean to say that they just stare at us. They do ask, questions that let me know that they are thinking about this stuff and paying attention. So that's good. It's just kind of a quiet class.
Yeah. But one of the teams, they're working on, speaking of waste, they're working on a food waste issue.
Yeah,
so we're really excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, anything else going on this week, y'all? Morgan, you said you've been applying to certain jobs.
Yeah, I've been still applying around. Yep.
Always fun.
Always fun. Well, let us know if you need any help or support.
Thanks. Yeah, I want to get around to like practicing like design prompts more. It's just like this week I had a bunch of I had to prepare for like a bunch of interviews at different stages, so I didn't have time. But that's one of the things that like we didn't get to do that much of, was like do designing in groups, like with prompts, So I want to practice that more. That's one of my goals. Maybe I'll try to get around to it next week.
Great. It's always good. A portfolio is never finished.
Yeah. How's the cicadas where you guys are?
I haven't noticed them.
Me neither.
I haven't heard any or seen any either. It's weird. But we live in the high desert, so maybe it takes them a while to get here.
Yeah, Seattle cicadas are not a thing.
That's right. Yeah. You guys on the West Coast don't have them.
Yeah.
In the Midwest, I thought we would by now.
Yeah, I heard about it from one of my the host of a podcast I was listening to this morning.
Yeah. They're starting to get into the city. I'm in Cincinnati, and I'm starting to see them all over the sidewalk now and on the trees. There's like 8 of them, like all together. It's crazy. I have an old friend of ours, cooks with insects, and he's done a bunch of recipes on his Insta, like with cicadas, cicada burgers, cicada ceviche. Yeah.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's super like regional because my family's in Baltimore. They're like swarmed with them. But then Mark's family is in Virginia Beach and they don't travel that far south. So, and yeah, my dad tells me like every time I call, like, oh, they showed these recipes on the news about cicadas. And I was like, I hope they're at least like waiting until they mate and do their thing before they eat them. Like, again, like, oh, cool, a free protein. But like, think about the ramifications if you're like harvesting them before they have a chance to do what they're there to do, then you won't have them in the next 17 years.
Yeah. It's another way to like think about like food waste and like sustainability too. He's all about that, like as like the future of protein and just having sustainable sources for that. But yeah, he's a really eclectic guy. His name's Joseph Yoon, and I think he was just featured on the Kelly and Ryan with some of his recipes. So Kelly and Ryan show.
Can you put the link to his Instagram in the chat?
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
I mean, it's something I think we all need to consider with the future of food and the future of our planet, right? I mean, talk about warming temperatures. It's really going to cause havoc to our normal diet. And so we need alternatives. And it's been a growing industry, this idea of like cricket protein and other types of, insect bug kind of, I don't know, the bug industry. I don't know. But I don't know. I mean, I'm interested to see how far it goes. And as a marketing aspect of it, like, how do you convince people, right? And I think the baby step.
Insect protein, Mark?
I mean, if it means that I am getting my protein in a sustainable way and it's not, I don't know. I mean,
And you're also vegetarian.
There's also, yeah, I don't know. I think the future of food is really interesting in this aspect.
Yeah, I'm curious about vegetarians and the alternate sustainable meats and things. I mean, it gets down to kind of why you're a vegetarian, whether it's for sustainability reasons or other reasons. Curious to see if they would adapt like cell or lab grown meat or
I think if anything, it's an opportunity for us to be a bit more fluid with how we identify ourselves with our diets and even other aspects, like why label yourself with a defined thing. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting to think about, and I think do we at some point put the planet first? It's putting us first is the reason why we're in this mess. So do we kind of take a step back and I don't want to say sacrifice, but do we modify, adapt, change to put the planet first and heal the planet. I don't know. But I think the baby step of all this is like what I've seen with like cricket powder, like putting it in stuff that you would normally eat, not serving like cicadas in a taco. You know,
Ceviche, that is
Ceviche.
way too much for me. Oh my,
You never know, it might taste completely amazing.
Definitely crunchy.
oh my God.
But I love the stories where it's like we're creating a culture shift that sort of like entices people toward trying more sustainable options rather than having it feel like this punitive, you can't have this anymore, but just kind of like making it the cool new trend to sort of like move in that direction. So it feels more like a cultural movement than like something being enforced. I think that's
Thou
the way
shalt not.
to get traction. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to my mom the other day. She has this like unconscious, like nervous system reaction to reptiles. So she just cannot stand snakes and frogs and lizards and things. And I think those animals are cute, but I have the same kind of reaction to spiders and bugs. And
Mhm.
so I don't know, like people are wired differently or whatever it is. I just have like, I get really squicked out when you're talking about bugs. But my mother doesn't. She's just like, yeah, I'll pick up a spider and put it outside. It doesn't bug me at all, but I can't even go near one without my body just like involuntarily twitching.
Yeah. Um, it was like a few months ago, I think I heard that Epicurious was no longer doing any recipes with red meat, that they had just like stopped having that be part of what they post. I thought that was really encouraging. But like as far as sort of like cultural leadership, I thought that was pretty cool.
It is interesting.
It is interesting. I like that.
Mhm.
I kind of like that, but we do have a use for grass-fed beef in an eco-friendly system. And as a anemic who is often low iron, red meat is the best way to get your iron up.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
Yeah, silvopasture. Like I think that maybe if we find better ways to raise meat and maybe moderate better, I think that we
Exactly.
don't have to have a fully meat-free future. We just need to find a new balance point.
It's balanced.
There's an amazing documentary called Gather that's all about indigenous practices, and something that they discuss there is how damaging cows are to North America, that it was bison or buffalo that really were part of our ecosystem here, and that because of the culling of, you know, millions of buffalo, that's one of the reasons that, like, you know, the plains and grasslands are not as healthy as they once were. And there's a guy that's trying to like get herds of buffalo back to their original land, and that will, you know, because I know that in regenerative agriculture there's a whole thing about like rotating the grazing animals in different pastures at certain times or whatever, but yeah, like again, it's just returning to how things used to be. So if we can get more people into, I mean, obviously like raising cattle is super destructive. Like if we could get people to switch to bison and have these bison herds and have it like managed in like the way that it used to be, not in this, you know, factory farm kind of system.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Totally agree.
I don't know, but it's a really good documentary that I highly recommend. Gather.
Yeah, there's a huge
Cool.
part of this continent that's not meant for growing other kinds of plants, and it sequesters a ton of carbon if you allow the grasslands to be grasslands, and that requires grazing animals.
That is one of the things that's in that article that I was talking about between that shows that biodiversity and climate change are linked, is that we can't just go around planting trees everywhere, because that's not the solution. You know, it displaces other types of ecosystems, you know, just like monocultures are bad for the environment.
Yeah, it's so incredibly complex.
Yeah.
I went on a volunteer vacation, I guess is what you would call it, to Namibia, and hung out with elephants for 2 weeks, basically, the wild elephants. And it
So-
turns out that like they're sort of the grazing animal in the, it's kind of a desert bush area. And if they weren't there, you know, they kind of break branches off of these eucalyptus trees and strip the bark and all this stuff and process the bark. And if they weren't there, the spiny bush plant weeds would take over and the whole landscape would be completely different and probably more susceptible to fire and all of these things. Like the domino effects of one little animal being extinct, not very little, would be really, really huge.
Yep.
Wow.
That is true.
It's amazing. Final 4 minutes. Anyone want to drop an amazing topic that we're not going to have time to talk about? Seems like that's what always happens at the very end.
I heard that elephants think that humans are cute in the way that we think puppies are cute.
I believe it.
That's really sweet.
Especially when we have guns trained on them.
No, they're very dangerous
Maybe
in the
not
wild.
then.
In the wild, they're very dangerous, but they will be very curious about you. It's just that they don't care if they step on you on the way to food or something. And if they decide that you're a threat, they can rip you apart. So there's that.
All right.
As they should.
Yes, exactly. I'm so dying to go to on a safari. I just actually got some brochures in the mail 2 days ago for a couple different safaris. So definitely.
Sarah, did you see any cheetahs in Namibia?
No, they were very, we saw evidence of a wild cat of some sort, but they don't make themselves known in the wild. They're very good at sneaking around.
My oldest kiddo was like obsessed with cheetahs for like a year and a half. So we like did a whole like homeschool, like preschool program about cheetahs, and like Namibia has the highest cheetah population in the world. And we like learned all these things, and they make this adorable chirping sound to like locate their kids. Like cheetahs are pretty awesome. Anyway, so I had to ask since you went to Namibia.
Yeah, that would be so cool. But yeah, I think it would actually be really scary to see a wild cheetah. If
It
you're
probably
close
would,
enough
yeah.
to see one, it's probably like hunting you or something.
Maybe.
Just outrun them. That's all you got to do.
No problem.
No problem.
Yeah, they're the slowest cats in the world, aren't they?
Yeah,
They're known for.
They're the only cat that doesn't run. That's what I heard. Right, Lindsay? Wasn't that taught in your class?
Yes. Yep. That's what we covered for sure.
Oh, kitty.
Yeah,
The cats.
she heard something about cats, and so she's like,
It's time.
"You talking about me? You talking about me?"
Well, thanks for everybody for coming. It's been really good chatting with you and seeing your face.
Ditto.
Yep. Wonderful to see
Always
you too.
great.
Yeah.
Whenever you guys have some time, hit me up for
Yes,
whatever it is you want help with.
we need help.
Yeah. And Sasha, really nice work on the like thought-provoking prompts on the site. I really enjoy the questions, even though I haven't managed to answer them yet. But I will try.
Great.
Yes, thank you, Sasha.
I always enjoy coming up with them.
Awesome.
Very thought-provoking.
Lindsay, where in Seattle are you from?
I'm in the little neighborhood of Bryant, which is close to the University of Washington.
That's my alma mater.
Oh, fun.
Oh, nice.
Yes, back in the dark ages.
Yeah, my neighborhood is like the neighborhood where a lot of the UW professors live, sort of like behind the hill past the university.
Yeah, I lived all over the place there.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite neighborhood in Seattle?
I love Green Lake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good one.
yeah, that's like when I lived there, that's where I thought maybe I'd end up eventually, but
Yeah.
didn't happen.
We put an offer on a house next to Green Lake first, but then we got outbid, and then we found this amazing 100-year-old bungalow instead.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
Well,
Yeah,
people are already starting to drop off because they have meetings.
Oh yeah, I got to go too.
I do too.
I'll say the word
Me
because it's top of
too.
the hour. But thanks so much again for coming.
Okay, bye everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.